Dear brothers and sisters watching me now, have you ever stopped to think about how many sleepless nights you've spent reliving worries and anxieties? How many times has your pillow been the silent witness to tears shed over problems that seem to have no solution? If you can relate to this, know that you're not alone. And today I have a powerful revelation to share with you. Padre Pio, in his infinite wisdom, left us three simple but incredibly transformative practices that we should do every night before going to sleep. Pay close attention, because applying these three things can completely change your life, bringing peace to your heart and transforming your nights of rest. If you believe in the power of prayer and the wisdom of Padre Pio, write in the comments, "I trust in the wisdom of Sate." Padre Pio, this will help me share this message with more people who, like you, need to know about this special teaching. Many people spend fortunes on sleeping pills, therapies, and treatments, when in reality the solution may lie in something much simpler and deeper. Padre Pio discovered that our moments before sleep are crucial, not just for our physical health, but especially for our inner peace. Imagine waking up every morning feeling an inexplicable lightness, with a smile on your face and the certainty that everything will be okay. Does that seem like a distant dream? I assure you it's possible, and I'm going to show you exactly how to make it happen. What I'm about to share with you isn't a set of complicated techniques or elaborate rituals. These are three simple practices that anyone can do, no matter their situations or circumstances. And most importantly, these practices have transformed the lives of thousands of people who have already put them into practice. Before revealing these three powerful steps, it's important for you to understand something fundamental. The moments before we sleep are when our spirit is most receptive, most open to receiving blessings and transformations. It is during this time that we can truly reprogram our minds and hearts to attract all the good things we deserve. Stay with me until the end, because I'm going to explain each of these practices in detail, and I guarantee you'll be amazed by their simplicity and at the same time by their transformative power. These are teachings shared by Padre Pio that unfortunately many people are still unaware of. And one very important thing, don't wait until tomorrow to start. The time to transform your life is now. Every night that passes without applying these practices is a missed opportunity to experience true peace and wake up with more joy in your heart. Before revealing the first practice taught by Padre Pio, we need to understand why so many people struggle with restless nights and wake up without the energy to face a new day. In his wisdom, Padre Pio recognized that the greatest problem isn't in the mattress we use or the medications we take, but in the state of our heart as we prepare to sleep. Have you noticed how hard it is to have a good night's sleep when we're weighed down by worries? It's as if our mind turns into a movie projector, replaying all our problems, fears, and anxieties over and over. And so the night passes, we lose sleep, and wake up even more tired the next day. Padre Pio, during his years of spiritual counseling, identified that many people suffer because they don't know how to manage their thoughts and emotions before going to bed. He realized that this moment, the final minutes before we close our eyes, is crucial not only for the quality of our sleep, but for our entire life. And do you know what was the most remarkable discovery he made? That we don't need complicated practices or lengthy prayers to transform our nights. In fact, there are 3 simple things that anyone can do, no matter their age or life situation. These practices have the power to clear our minds, calm our hearts, and prepare us for truly restorative sleep. What struck Padre Pio the most was noticing how these 3 practices, when done consistently, not only improve our sleep, but also begin to transform every aspect of our lives. It's as if by taking care of our last thoughts of the day, we plant seeds of blessings that bloom in all areas of our existence. Many people ask me why these practices are so special. The answer is simple. They directly address the 3 greatest sources of sleep disturbances: ingratitude, resentment, and lack of trust. Padre Pio knew that if we could resolve these 3 issues before going to bed, we would naturally find the peace we so desperately seek. Now I'm going to share with you the first of these practices, and I ask you to pay close attention because it may seem simple at first, but it has an impressive transformative power. This is a practice that Padre Pio himself used every night and taught to everyone who sought him for peace and serenity. The first practice Padre Pio taught us is gratitude, but not just any superficial kind of gratitude. He taught us a special way of giving thanks that has the power to completely transform our perspective on life and consequently the quality of our sleep. Padre Pio explained that before going to bed, we should close our eyes and give thanks for 3 specific things. First, for something good that happened during the day, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant. Second, for something that challenged us, because it is through difficulties that we grow the most. And third, for something that hasn't happened yet, but that we hope to achieve as if we've already received it. You might be thinking, but how can I be grateful when everything seems to be going wrong? And that's exactly where the secret of this practice lies. Padre Pio taught that gratitude does not depend on external circumstances, but on our ability to see beyond appearances. When we give thanks for something good that happened during the day, we are training ourselves to recognize the blessings that often go unnoticed. It could be a smile we received, a meal we enjoyed, a moment of peace, or simply the fact that we are alive and breathing. Being thankful for difficulties is even more powerful. Padre Pio said that every obstacle is a hidden opportunity. When we express gratitude for challenges, we acknowledge that they make us stronger, wiser, and better prepared for the blessings to come. Finally, giving thanks in advance for something we desire is an act of pure faith. It demonstrates trust that our prayers have already been heard and that the answer is on its way. This could be healing from an illness, resolving a financial problem, or reconciling a relationship. Padre Pio observed that people who practiced this form of gratitude began to notice significant changes in their lives. First, they slept better because their last thoughts before sleep were positive and filled with hope. Then they began to find more reasons to be thankful throughout the day, creating a virtuous cycle of blessings. This practice is especially powerful because it reprograms our minds. Instead of going to bed weighed down by worries and fears, we go with hearts full of gratitude. And when we change the way we see our lives begin to change before our very eyes. The best part is that this gratitude practice doesn't require much time. Just a few minutes before bed are enough. What matters isn't the duration, but the sincerity and consistency with which we practice it. Padre Pio assured that over time this practice would become as natural as breathing. The second practice that Padre Pio taught us is forgiveness, one of the most liberating acts we can engage in before going to sleep. He noticed that many people carried the weight of resentments, grievances, and unspoken words to bed, turning what should be a moment of rest into hours of anguish and restlessness. When we talk about forgiveness, we're not just referring to forgiving others, but also, most importantly, about forgiving ourselves. Padre Pio explained that carrying guilt and self-criticism to bed is like trying to sleep with a stone under your pillow. That's why he taught us a simple but profoundly transformative exercise. Before going to bed, we should do 3 things. First, identify something we did during the day that caused us regret or guilt. It could be a poorly chosen word, a moment of impatience, or a missed opportunity to do good. Instead of punishing ourselves for it, we should acknowledge the mistake with compassion and forgive ourselves. Next, we need to identify someone who has hurt us or caused us pain, whether recently or in the past. It doesn't matter if the person apologized, acknowledged their mistake or not. The forgiveness we offer doesn't depend on the other person's actions, but on our decision to free ourselves from the burden of resentment. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, we must forgive the circumstances in life that didn't go as planned. How often do we hold on to frustration over a project that failed, an expectation that wasn't met, or a dream that had to be postponed? Padre Pio teaches us that forgiving life means accepting that not everything is under our control. This practice of forgiveness holds extraordinary power because it directly addresses our deepest emotions. When we forgive, we're not saying that what happened was right or acceptable. We're simply choosing not to carry the weight of that situation anymore. Padre Pio observed that people who practiced forgiveness before bed began to notice remarkable changes in their lives. First, their sleep became more peaceful, free from those anguished awakenings in the middle of the night. Then, their relationships began to improve because a heart free from resentment becomes more open to giving and receiving love. An interesting discovery he made was that forgiveness practiced regularly before sleep starts to naturally extend to other moments of the day. It's like building a spiritual muscle that strengthens with daily exercise. Over time, forgiveness becomes our first reaction to adversity instead of holding grudges or seeking revenge. The beauty of this practice is that it teaches us that forgiveness is not a sign of weakness, but of inner strength. It's not about forgetting what happened, but about choosing our peace above all else. Padre Pio said that every act of forgiveness is like opening a window for light to enter our soul. And remember, forgiveness doesn't have to be a long or complicated process. Sometimes the simple, I forgive myself, or I forgive you, said sincerely before bed, is enough to begin dissolving years of accumulated resentment. What matters most is the genuine intention behind the words. The third and final practice Padre Pio taught us is trust, a deliberate act of surrender that has the power to transform nights of worry into moments of deep peace. He observed that many people go to bed carrying the weight of the world on their shoulders, as if they must solve all their problems before falling asleep. This practice involves doing something seemingly simple, but incredibly courageous, letting go of all our worries before sleep. Padre Pio explained that we should visualize each worry, fear, or problem weighing on us and consciously make the act of trusting that a greater plan is at work. He taught us to do this in a practical way. First, identify 3 main worries occupying your mind. These could be health issues, financial concerns, complicated relationships, or any other situation causing you anxiety. Instead of mentally trying to solve these problems, consciously release them. The secret lies in understanding that trust doesn't mean giving up or becoming passive in the face of problems. On the contrary, it's about recognizing that we've done our part during the day and that now it's time to rest, allowing solutions to emerge naturally at the right time. Padre Pio observed that people who practiced this act of trust began sleeping much better as they no longer spent the night tossing and turning trying to solve every problem. Moreover, they often woke up with ideas and insights that wouldn't have come if they had remained trapped in the cycle of worry. This practice holds a special power because it directly addresses our tendency for excessive control. When we trust, we acknowledge that not everything depends solely on us. It's an act of humility and, at the same time, wisdom. What's most fascinating is that over time, this practice also begins to influence how we act during the day. We start to realize that we can do our part without carrying the weight of anxiety about the results. It's as if we learn to dance with life instead of fighting against it. Padre Pio emphasized that this practice of trust is not an escape from reality, but a wiser way of dealing with it. When we trust, our sleep becomes deeper and more restorative, and we wake up with greater energy and mental clarity to face the challenges of the next day. And so with these 3 practices, gratitude, forgiveness, and trust, Padre Pio left us a true treasure of wisdom. These are simple, yet profoundly transformative tools that can completely change our experience of life, starting with the moment we close our eyes to sleep. If you've made it this far, you now hold the power to transform your nights and consequently your days. Start today. Don't wait for everything to be perfect or for ideal conditions. Change begins with a small step, with a simple decision to practice these teachings. Remember gratitude to open your heart to blessings, forgiveness to free your soul from unnecessary burdens, and trust to find the peace you've been seeking. Padre Pio assured us that by consistently practicing these 3 things, we would see profound transformations in our lives. If this teaching touched your heart, share it with someone you love. Sometimes a simple message can be the start of a great transformation in someone's life. And don't forget to turn on the notification bell to receive more messages of light and wisdom in your life. Tonight, as you prepare for bed, remember this. You hold in your hands 3 powerful keys to transform not just your sleep, but your entire life. These are simple practices that Padre Pio left us as a precious gift to find peace amidst life's turbulence. And don't think you need to do everything perfectly from the very first day. Start small with little steps. Maybe tonight you focus on gratitude, tomorrow you add forgiveness, and then trust. What matters isn't perfection, but consistency and sincerity in your practice. Padre Pio always emphasized that the greatest transformations begin with small changes in our daily routines. By incorporating these 3 practices before sleep, you are creating a new pattern in your life, a pattern of peace, lightness, and well-being. Think of how many nights you've spent awake, burdened with worries and anxieties. Now you have practical tools to turn that time into a moment of peace. These practices have already transformed the lives of thousands and can transform yours too. Remember that every night is a new opportunity to practice these teachings. Even if a day doesn't go as planned, even if you face challenges or difficulties, you can always start fresh when bedtime comes. If this knowledge touched your heart, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with family and friends, especially those you know are going through difficult times. Sometimes a simple message can be the beginning of a great transformation in someone's life. Turn on notifications so you won't miss any teachings that can bring more light and wisdom to your life. And remember, the peace you're seeking is closer than you think. All it takes is practicing these 3 simple teachings of Padre Pio every night before you sleep. The transformation you desire begins tonight with a simple act of gratitude, a gesture of forgiveness, and a moment of trust. Don't wait until later. Your life can start to change right now.